Okay. Hey, baby. Yeah, I'm okay. Did you need something? Oh, okay.
Rocco was like really curious what was going on.
Oh, okay. I'm okay. Love you.
Love you.
Love you mostest.
Love you lots.
Oh, okay. I'll be out in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Sitting in my office. So I've tried to make this video probably 75 different times. And I just keep finding that I can't get through it without crying. And I absolutely hate crying. For those of you that really know me know I'm a closet crier. Like, I'm just not an outward crying person, which is weird because in the last little bit, the last couple years, I've become a lot more emotional. But these last little bit has just kind of been a lot because I'm not like emotionally outbursting type crying, but like me and Tom Tom will be out just driving around, cruising back roads, like getting lost, things that we like to do, and it's like looking out the window and tears just start streaming down my face and I can't stop it. Or I try to make these videos, or even in the middle of my sleep last night, like I woke up and just started crying. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know why I'm doing that, but at this point I need to get this video made, and if I don't, I'm not gonna. So if that happens, I'm just gonna keep talking through it like it ain't happening, because I absolutely hate when people get on a messy cry, but it is what it is at this point. I'm now a crybaby, so just take that for what it's worth, because it is what it is. And I have told, like, mostly everybody that I work with and see every day, they're a lot easier to tell. As a lot of you know, like, we just moved here in January, so these are the people that we see more frequently, but also we haven't known for, the longest of time. And so I've been able to get some practice in there, but it's still been hard to try to get it in when I talk about doing it this way, like with the people that are the closest to me. And I've also obviously had the conversation with my children, because they're my children. And now I need to have the conversation with each of you. And there's so many people, like, I want to make individual phone calls too, because I know that you do deserve it, and you feel like you deserve it, and you don't want to, like, nobody likes to hear things on social media. But kind of like what I've told my kids is, moving forward, I think this is just the way I am going to share things and give updates and just different things, because I don't want to do it more than I have to. I don't want to have like 50,000 phone calls that last 20 and 30 minutes going over the same things over and over that aren't really things that I want to address. I want to just live my life and do what I've been doing, because overall I feel like I'm in the best place in my life that I've been ever. So, and as far as my overall health, I feel healthier than I did since I was in high school. So that's that is that too. But I just want to keep doing those things and living life and focusing on me and my relationship, my children and my grandchildren. I mean, I moved here and they're already far away, but I get to video with them, and really would like to get the opportunity to visit. Just, it is what it is. I just don't want to have to make these phone calls all the time. So this is going to be what it is. And I hope you understand that, so you can be a part of the journey, understand. I know you care, I care, and but this is just what's easier for my mental health and my stress. And so that's what we're going to do. Let me start at the beginning of this story, because it's easier to tell when I do it this way. Excuse me. So, it's Wednesday. So 3.5 weeks ago on Monday, I think it's been 3.5 weeks, maybe. It's been almost 4. Don't quote me. I want to say 3.5 weeks. I'm going to roll with that because that's mentally where I'm at right now. I haven't been getting a lot of sleep, so my days are kind of blurred. But anyway, 3.5 weeks ago, I was at work, and I work in a prison. I work in a maximum security prison, so when I got to work that morning, I felt fine, like I do every other day, just good. I'd had some issues, like a couple weeks prior, like I'd went to night shift for a little bit because that's where they had needed me, and I was having some headaches and just different things, and I was like, I'm too old. I'm too old for night shift. And so I went back to days. Other than that, other than like these migraines I was having, which was really unlike me, like overall I felt good. My stress level was different. My sleeping patterns weren't great. Like just things that happen when you go around changing your schedule, nothing major. But I came back to day shift, been feeling great. Everything's been fine. Hadn't had any more headaches. So that's, like, maybe that didn't help. I don't know. Maybe it had nothing to do with it. I don't know. But on this particular day, I get to work, I feel fine. And I'm outside on the gate because we have offenders that are moving. And so obviously we post officers in the places that we need to be to try to make sure we're providing supervision, keeping, the offenders safe, helping to keep each other safe. We don't have trees because we need to have cameras and views. And, we have people who their job is to sit and watch those cameras and watch those movements, and us, they're present watching those movements, watching those views. So trees and just things that get in the way don't allow that. And so down here in southeast Missouri, like it's been hot, and with our heat index we've been in triple digits for, we had a little bit of a break there, but it's been consistently hot for a few weeks. And so I was standing out on this gate, I just started not feeling well. I just feeling nauseous. I was kind of having some cramping. And so I'm like, I gotta get off the gate and go in and go, like I'm nauseous. And so can't like really be out on the gate physically getting sick while offenders are like walking back and forth. So I'm in the bathroom and getting sick. I'm coming out. I can't even get back to my post because I'm right back in the bathroom getting sick. Like it was a kind of rough morning for me. Some of my coworkers that day, like obviously could see that because it's just not in my character. Like any of you guys that have ever worked with me know, like once I hit the ground, I'm running and I'm advocating for the people we're working with and I'm working with, and just laser focused and trying to do the best I can. Although this job has definitely been its own set of challenges, which is a whole nother story. But I try to work really hard when I'm at work. So for me to be down, even though whatever, so it just wasn't normal. They noticed it, they called and said something, and it took a couple hours for somebody to come and be able to get me off of there. And in that meantime I was still sick, so I'm like, at first I thought maybe I had food poisoning. Then I started thinking maybe I was just dehydrated, or maybe even had some heat exhaustion from being out there. And it takes a lot for me to stay hydrated anyway, because I've had a gastric sleeve. And so even though it's been several years, I still it takes me a while to get in my fluids and just different things that I need to stay hydrated, especially in these temperatures. So, and I'm always really good at justifying away my symptoms because I hate medications and just different things like that. So you'll catch me doing that even now. Like whatever. So they finally give me some relief, and I start up towards our main building, which is a ways away. But as I'm starting out, it's like the sun is super bright, and I can hear noise. Like I can hear the birds, and I can hear voices, and they like to play handball. And I just remember hearing this handball like hitting the wall, and it sounds really weird, but like my senses were just like, oh, and I'm trying to be like, get to the building, right? Like I'm telling myself, like, get to that building, you got to get to that building. I didn't want to go down on the yard, but I knew, like, I felt like I'm not really a big drinker by any means, but I felt just like super like I equivalent to almost like being intoxicated. Just like I was like, ooh, like everything's spinning. Like I should have stopped 5 drinks ago, kind of thing. Like it's funny, I couldn't even drink 5 drinks if I wanted to. But anyways, if I was drinking, that's what it felt like. If you are a drinker, if you've ever drank too much, like that's how I was feeling. Just like I'm puking, everything's dizzy, there's noise. I'm like, stop the chaos. That's how I'm feeling. And so, and it seems like the building's getting further and further away. So I'm just like, what is happening right now? And so I get through the gate and I look up and I can see people coming towards me. And so I'm like, oh, good. Like, anyway, it's still kind of like a blur. But one of the people was our like nurse. I think somebody had seen that like I just wasn't doing well because, like I said, we got people that watch cameras, and part of that is watching each other. And so I was very grateful for that because to this day, I honestly don't know that I made it all to that building by myself, which really sucks to say. But anyway, our nurse was like, I'm gonna take you to the hospital because your heart rate is, I think she's, at the time it was like 43 or 44, I can't remember. It was very low, especially considering that I'm walking around, like not sitting around doing nothing, and that's very low even for a resting heart rate. So the fact that I'm not moving around just doesn't make sense. And I'm throwing up, like she's pulling over on the way to taking me to the hospital because I'm still just, and at this point it's nothing left in my stomach. Like there's nothing left, so I'm dry heaving and it's foam and it's bile, it's gross. Like that's what it's been like a lot recently for me. On a side note, just to giggle, she is seriously the cutest, best nurse ever. Like I'm sick and she's like, oh my gosh, I forgot you. I should have got you a little barf bag. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. I'm like, don't feel bad. It's fine. It's fine. Like I'm just really not focused. I remember she dumped her purse out and she handed it to me and she's like, here, you can puke in my purse. And I'm like, bless your heart. Like I have girlfriends that ain't even ever said, here, you can puke in my purse. So. That right there was a good woman, and so I appreciate that she did that. I didn't puke in her purse for what it's worth. I don't think I did that, but just the fact that she like, I have that same trait of like whatever I can do to bring you comfort when you're not great. Like let me help you. Like she has that, and so I can tell that she has a great heart, and I appreciate her for that. And then when we got there, she said, I'm gonna sit here with you. Okay, you know, she didn't ask me, she told me. I'm gonna be sitting here with you. And she sat there and took, Thomas drives truck. He drives a cement truck, but he was a little ways away, so it took him a while to get back. And in the meantime, she was telling them, like, her heart rate's low. They already knew because the machines were going off and we couldn't get it up. And I'm like, I'm dehydrated. And she's like, I don't think she's dehydrated. She's like, I think maybe her appendix might have burst or her gallbladder, based on, like, the pain, where it's at, the rebound, like, and I'm like, no. And the nurses at the hospital are like, probably. And, she's a nurse too, but... they're doing the EKG. They decide to take me back and give me like an MRI, CT type scans with dye to see if my appendix or my my gallbladder were going out. Sorry, I have issues catching my breath. And so the nurse had come in, the hospital nurse, and asked the nurse from my work and Thomas to step out of the room. And then she said, they want me to give you some like pain medicine to help you relax. And I'm like, ooh, like I don't usually take medications. I'm try to be very natural. So she's like, okay, we'll just give you this little dose, but it's to help with, because I was telling them, like, I just feel like my stomach is being wrung inside out. Like, I just felt like somebody, it was just sharp stomach pains. They did not feel good. I've been sick for a while, and I'm just like, make the nausea stop and everything else will probably feel better. But she said, then the doctor wants to come and talk to you. And so he came in and he said, Miss Gillespie, did you know that you have lymphoma? And I was like, no, but I didn't have to ask him twice if he was sure, because instantly, like, my mind goes to the fact that even though they say lymphoma is not hereditary, it runs very deep in my Baker side. My grandpa and all of his sisters, for sure, that I know of, and I don't even know, about the generations above that, how far that went. But my grandpa and all of his siblings, I know, had both Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at the same time. So when they said that, I didn't really ask him twice. I just went, oh, okay. But my grandpa and his siblings, when they got lymphoma, I think they were older. I'm in my 40s, so I didn't really quite know how to take that. And then the nurse from my work came in, and Thomas was there, and he came in, he's like, what did they say? Like, why did they kick us out? Like, this is weird. And the nurse was like, yeah, I've come up here like 4 times even just this week. I've never once been asked to leave the room. Like, they're acting really weird. And I just remember just being like, yeah, I don't know. They just said I have lymphoma. Like, just... And she was like, lymphoma? And Thomas was like, what the hell is lymphoma? And she was like, lymphoma? And I was like, yeah, right? Like, I don't know. And they give me the pain meds. And so like I said, I don't take medications. I'm not I don't take pain meds. I don't drink a whole lot. Like, I just really try to be natural forms of medication, essential oils, and all the things that I can do without taking pain medication. So when I do get them, they affect me like a lot. Even when I had my C-sections, I took only Tylenol. So anyways, so there's that. If it gives you any indication that I was just like, yeah, lymphoma, like, ain't that something? And she was like, okay. And they were like, how's your pain? And I'm like, no, like maybe a 4. And she's looking at Thomas, and she was like, she has to seriously be in more pain than this. Like, this is crazy. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I just try to make light of the situation, I guess. But they wanted to get me into the cancer center that Wednesday. So this was Monday. They wanted to have me in that Wednesday to see the oncologist at the cancer center. Made that appointment. Had to take a few days off of work because that's what they asked me to do. And they'd give me those medications, so I needed to make sure that, like, those weren't going to be an issue in any way. And I went to the cancer center on Wednesday to that appointment, and they were like, yeah, based on what it looked like in those scans, it looked like lymphoma, but it could also just be something that's reacting like a cancer or looking like a cancer. It could be an infection. It could be, infection around, like, scar tissues, like it's just really hard to say. It looks like it, yes, but let's make sure. And we also need to do some additional blood work and things that, like, they don't run when you're there, and see how that turns out. So that came back, and it was actually really interesting because she came back and she said, overall, your labs look great. Everything's green. Everything is in the normal ranges. Your platelets, your white counts, your blood counts, like, everything looks really good. So we don't typically see that with people who have cancer, and when we do, it's usually a really good indication that we caught it super early. And so I was still like, at this point I'd already been like, yeah, with the family history, I'm like, of all the things that they could have came in and misdiagnosed me with, I'm like, I just don't, I don't know. I think I'd kind of accepted it that fact, or maybe I just knew at that point it was true, and I've been praying on it, and I knew it was true. So I was like, yeah, it's there, but it's early, so that's good. Um, and then the other part of the lab work that they had to do special came back, and this one is the leukemia lymphoma evaluation labs. And so essentially those came back and showed that essentially says that I have what they call B cell lymphoma. My understanding is that are B cells in your lymph nodes and affect your B levels in your blood streams, or just your blood counts in general. But she still was like, let's see what the PET scan looks like, and let's get you in here for that next Wednesday. And so I went this last Wednesday and did the PET scan, and that was rough. I recorded a little video. Like I said, I've kind of been doing little things along the way because I really want to share this journey. I had to fast, and I had to start fasting at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, which I went to bed at like 11 because I had to work. So I was essentially fasting since like 10:30 the night before, and I got up and I went to work, and I worked till, I want to say shortly after 10, like 10:15 maybe. I can't even remember. Anyways, I was there for a couple hours, few hours, whatever. And my memory is not super great. But I went in, and I was fasting. I felt fine the whole time I was at work. Left work, and I'm on my way to my PET scan, and the nausea hits me again. And this is really only the second time I had really had the nausea since the time, like 2 weeks before that, when all this had started. And but I'm pulling my car over and I'm sick. I get to the hospital, I'm sick. I went through like 4 of their vomit bags before I even went back for my PET scan. So when you show up, you have to get an IV, and they give you this stuff in your IV, and then they have to wait an hour before you go in for your scan. So during the scan, I'm sick, and at this point, I'm really sick. Plus, whatever it was that they gave me to try to was to speeding up my heart rate. My heart rate's still been super low. It did not help when I was already nauseous, because all it did was make me feel like I was having a panic attack. Just the anxiety. It was my chest felt even though I can see it on there, they have me on the monitor, I'm looking at it, and my heart is only beating 68 beats a minute. I feel like it's racing, because mind you, my heart rate has been 37, 38, 42, 44. I've been functioning in that for I don't know how long. But it just was racing. It wasn't great. So I left there, and I remember calling Thomas, and I'm like, I'm sick. I'm really sick. I need to go back to work, but I might have to call them. I don't even know if I'm gonna make it home. I'm in Cape. We moved here, we don't really know anybody, and he's of course working, not knowing that this was gonna happen. And so he was like, just pull your car over, at a gas station, try to get some water, try to put something on your stomach. And I'm like, oof. Even food right now, besides the fact that it's hot, when I eat, it doesn't taste good. It's uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable after I eat. I'm nauseous. I just don't. It's really hard to explain, but I don't want to. But I did. I went in, I got some water, and I took a few sips, laid down in my back seat, and slept for 15 or 20 minutes to allow the nausea medication that they gave me to kind of work. Got feeling better. Went back to work. towards the end of my shift, that nausea medication started wearing off, so I was getting pretty sick again. So I was ready to go home. For the most part, like around that, feeling pretty good. Friday, this last Friday that rolled around, this past Friday, they called me because that's my day off. I have a really hard time like getting in touch with them during the work week because I can't take my phone in the prison. Like, you can't take your phone in prison. So they're there from 7 to 3, and like I'm working. You know, I get to work. I try to get to work around 6:30 in the morning, and then sometimes by the time I get out of there, it's like 7:30 or so. 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. So they're not there. So I made arrangements. They were going to call me last Friday, so they did. And essentially, she said, and this has been the part that's just like been kind of rough, and I haven't really talked a whole lot about, but only to a handful of people, and which is mostly the people I work with every day. Of course, Thomas and my children. But she said, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. And I'm still hopeful about, you know, that my labs look overall really good. And so is she. But she said, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but just by the PET scan alone, like, we know that your cancer is very progressive. The type of cancer you have in general is very progressive, and we know you are at least stage 3. So I don't know if I'm stage 3 or stage 4. Of course, I'm still hoping for stage 3. You always want it to be a little less. The less the better. In this case, I guess. From what I understand of the rating system, although it seems like 1 and 2 are kind of grouped together and pretty similar, and 3 and 4 are over here. But essentially, the cancer has taken over my spleen. It is taken over it's in the upper and lower part of my diaphragm. It's in my aorta, which is the main like artery in your heart, and they saw some in my armpits too, which seems kind of irrelevant considering that it's in my heart. My diaphragm, my spleen. B-cell lymphoma is typically a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is usually one that responds a little better to treatment, so that's hopeful, but a whole other topic in itself. I'm pretty sick. In the last couple of weeks, like since all this has happened, the nausea has just been so bad, especially in the last week. Essentially, like every time I eat something, but I have to eat, and then I just get this like cramping. It's just cramps so bad. And then like I get sick several times, and then I feel a little better. So they've given me some stuff to help with the nausea, which is great. It's been working great. And then the last few days, I feel like I've been eating like nonstop constantly. I just feel so hungry. But after I eat, I just have this pressure in my stomach. I feel like I can't catch my breath. She said, like, my oxygen sats are great. I said, I'm grateful for that. It just feels like I'm struggling for the air. And I've been kind of feeling that for the last little bit, but I just associated that with my asthma and recently moving back here and the humidity and the different kinds of heat. And like, oh, I have my asthma. And she said, no, your lungs actually looked pretty good. But that feeling like you can't catch your breath is because of the cancer, and the compression on your diaphragm is like your diaphragm can't fully like your diaphragm is this part of your stomach, and it moves like when you take your breath, and you can kind of feel it, right? And so mine is really inflamed from the cancer, and it has cancer around it, so it's not really able to do what it's supposed to do. So I just feel like I'm like constantly, even I run around nonstop all the time. Y'all know that about me, even at work. And man, sometimes I get to the top of the stairs and some of them wings, and I'm like, I have to stop for a second because I'm like, whew, like that was like normally I could be on a treadmill for like 40 minutes before I'm like, whew, but just even climbing a simple flight of stairs sometimes it makes me feel kind of winded. And then at night when I try to sleep, it's really rough. Because if I lay down, I just have this pressure. It's not really painful. I wouldn't call it painful. But it is just like a pressure. It feels like you're just like really deep underwater, or like somebody's just like sitting or standing. Like if you have your toddler or a toddler and you're just like letting him sit and play and hee, and after a while you're like, oh, you gotta move. Like, I need a deep breath. Like, that's the pressure. And some of that could be because it's in my aorta, and some of that could be because my heart rate's really low, but makes it really panicky when it comes time for me to go to sleep, because I feel like I can't breathe, or I'll wake up out of a dead sleep like feeling like I'm gasping for air. And I just sit on the side of the bed sometimes and I'm just crying, because not because I'm in pain, but just because it's scary. Like, if you're gonna go, I was telling Thomas this earlier, it's like, if you're gonna, you good? Okay.
What about you?
I'm good. I'm coming. I love you. I love you. He's so good. He always checks on me. I was telling him this earlier, that if you're gonna go in your sleep, like, that's a good way to go, just peacefully in your sleep. That's how I would prefer it. But it is really scary to think that, like, I still have things I want to say and do, and things I need to take care of. So the idea of going to sleep and maybe not waking up is scary right now, which is crazy, because a lot of you know, maybe don't, it's fine, I never talked about it really publicly, but my family and some people that were close to me know that, you know, a couple of years ago, excuse me, that's horrible, a couple of years ago, I had a really major suicide attempt, and so I feel like I made peace with being ready to go home a while ago. But when I woke up in ICU, I had to accept the fact that God wasn't ready for me. And he said I still had stuff to do. I felt like it was saying I needed to do things before I can come and fix things and do it right, and still have people I needed to help. Because, you know, my life has definitely been rough, but I've always tried to be positive and focus on change, and just really dedicate everything I do to try to leave the world a little better than I found it, and a little better than I was when I was growing up in it. Because Lord knows, for several years I was a rough kid, I was a tough teenager, and I was even a worse young adult. But since I woke up, I've done I've really dedicated my life to doing that, to just changing myself around, and to being more positive, focusing on the positive, and just changing so much about my life and myself. And it's been a really nice couple years, so I can say that. And I feel like I've healed a lot of things, and really truly am in the best place in my life, and in a great place, overall with my kids, considering, a lot of the things that we've survived together that weren't always easy, and some of those things, probably a lot of those things, definitely my fault, and I've had to acknowledge that and take that on. But I felt like, in a really good place, and spending time with Thomas, like, truly has been a blessing. He's my best friend. I value my job and my coworkers. I appreciate going to work. It sucks when there's times where they tell me, like, I can't, like those couple days after the thing, I couldn't go in. I went in on my day off. I walked into the warden's office because I couldn't get hold of him. He's super busy, but I'm like, I've never had to beg to come to work before. Like, usually employers are like, why are you calling off? Like, come into work. You can't get people to come into work. And I'm over here like, hello, I want to come to work. I need to come to work. And so I really appreciated that they've allowed me to come back. And I work with a really great team of people who are always looking out and checking in, and I've appreciated that. But yeah, this journey's been crazy. So the last couple weeks since I found this out, me and Thomas just kind of taking back road little adventures, getting lost, not even to say anything, just music and scenery and silent tears between the two of us. Just holding hands and being supportive, and him loving me through it. I'll just be in the kitchen dead silent, crying, and come in, and you guys have seen it just since I've been in here. He's so caring and compassionate. He comes in checking on me all the time. I'll be in the middle of my sleep, like struggling to sleep, or I'll wake up in the middle of the night like panting because I can't catch my breath. Or in the mornings, it literally is almost like being 9 months pregnant, when you're like super big pregnant and you're uncomfortable and you feel like you can't breathe and you're rolling around, and then you're waking up and you're nauseous and you're puking, and only at the end of it, nobody's gonna hand me a little baby this time. But yeah, like the mornings are super rough. Like I felt really horrible because I had to call in late. Like I had to call in and say I was gonna be late one day this week because I just woke up and my nausea was so bad. These are the things I'm scared of because I feel like I need my job, not because of the money, but that definitely medical insurance is great, but mostly like I value my job. I love helping people and doing things. It gives me a purpose. I'm away from my kids and my grandbabies. Tom works during the day, like I have to keep moving and doing things, and I was just so afraid that, like, if they found out I was sick, they weren't going to let me come back. But I also know, like, I haven't been there long enough to qualify for FMLA, and, that was a conversation that had to be had, because FMLA protections aren't there until you're, like, a year or so many hours into work. And so I know, like, essentially once I run out of leave without pay is likely not an option. So it just sucks. I hope that when I am there, like, I'm doing enough to let them know that I definitely do try to show up 100%. I don't want to dump on anybody when I'm there. I try to be positive, and especially those fellas, like going there was their consequence. They're going through their own things, and my coworkers, it's a really tough environment to work in. We are not dealing with great situations, and not always the greatest people either. And we work a lot of hours. We're shorthanded. So there's just a lot of stress, and I don't ever want to put that on other people. So I try to show up and keep a smile on my face and be positive for my team and encouraging. It's been pretty rough on the backside of it, though. Like, I come home at night and I don't feel great. In the morning, I don't feel great. But still being positive. So Tuesday, moving forward, past all that, Tuesday is my scan, my biopsy. They're gonna do my biopsy to confirm whether I'm stage 3 or stage 4. Knowing it's gonna be one of those two, and if it's all non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, or if I'm gonna follow my family history and have both Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and then have an idea of what that treatment will look like, if that's the route I want to take. However, I have to see a cardiac oncologist because right now my heart is not stable enough for chemo, which brings me back to my family history. So my grandpa and 2 of his sisters had a reaction to the chemo that they had. I think my grandpa's was within like the first few minutes or even the first hour of his treatment. So it like causes like heart attack, congestive heart failure, and I think in my aunt like kidney or liver failure. I don't remember, but anyways, something like that. Like right away, just reactions to this chemo, which doesn't make me super hopeful. Although lymphoma, sometimes if caught in certain stages, can be pretty treatable, and that's good. And like I said, my blood counts look good, but like when you're already talking stage 3 or 4, I'm really just not sure I want to put a lot of that stuff in my body. I try not to put medications in my body. I'm not big on big pharma. In fact, I'm actually disgusted with big pharma. So I'm kind of having this little internal struggle. Stage 3, or lymphoma is very progressive, so if I am blessed to have stage 3 and I do nothing, I'll probably move very quickly. Those things look like on average 3 to 12 months. But even with successful chemo and radiation, the life expectancy of somebody that's overcoming lymphoma, going through chemo treatments and radiation, at stages 3 or 4, who overcome those, like 3 to 5 years, and so that's pretty decent. For me, I'm questioning what those years are going to look like, because like I said, for the most part, I feel pretty good. The nausea is horrible. They give me stuff for the nausea. That's helping. The breathing and the pressure isn't great. I'm like, what can I do to kind of help with some of these symptoms that I'm having so that I can keep living? I want to keep doing stuff for however much time I have left, because death is a promise that's issued at birth. We know it's coming, right? And so when God decides he's ready to bring me home, he's going to. And I'm not going to do anything to change that, and I'm okay with that. For a long time I tried to do everything my way, and I learned very quickly that doesn't work. So now I do things his way, because that is the only way, that's the option. And so whatever that time looks like, I just want to be able to keep living it like I've been living it these last 2 years since he decided, to make sure I knew that he wasn't ready for me then. So I know when he is ready for me, he's going to take me. And I'm okay with that. I just want to live like whatever that time looks like I was before. So I've been hearing about like other options and different things. I'm kind of looking into that. And then there's the part of me that's like, I want to do chemo and like try to live, but not if it means I'm going to live sick, miserable, like unhappy. Then I would rather take that time and like spend it with Thomas and my kids, my grandbabies, where I can, virtually, and visiting, and try to take the trips while I can, and do the different things. So, and like see my family and friends. I moved, back here in hopes to like be able to spend some time with my family again now that because I moved away when my kids were younger, to give them a different life than what I had growing up. And I knew if I stayed close that I wasn't going to ever be the mom that they needed, because I was going to just keep getting in trouble and acting a fool. So Anyway, 45 minutes later, this is kind of where I'm at. So I don't even know who would want to watch this long, but that's kind of where I'm at. That's the update. If you did watch, I appreciate it, and I love you guys. And just know, like, overall, I know this is kind of rough because this was a rough video to have, but I am trying to stay positive. I am leaning on my good labs and those different things. And like I said, I'm going to share a lot of this stuff, not because I have to, but just because it's easier. But let's see. I don't even understand some of this stuff. Just look at this for a second, because I think they write this stuff in foreign language on purpose so that you don't understand it, but essentially so this just says, like, it's like the PET scan, like the type of scan they did. It was like the PET scan imaging with CT, whatever all that means. I don't even know. And I did this. This just says, like, you have a right to know your medical things, but they like your doctor to see it first, so to be patient or something. I don't know. But this just says that, like, I don't know if you can see that. Like I said, I'm going to post this stuff anyway, just because part of my journey. But essentially it says that extensive abnormal activity involving lymphadenopathy above and beneath the diaphragm with differential diagnosis including primary neoplasm such as lymphoma. Says they recommend the biopsy. Then it says the spleen with diffuse hypermetallic activity with differential diagnosis including splenectic involvement with disease. They recommend the biopsy. Then it talks about, like, how they do the scans and just different things like that. Down here it talks about how, like, they find it as, like, stage 3 at this level, and, like, where they found the different things and the sizes and the measurements and yeah, so it's just like all the little different areas that they tested and the findings. Essentially, like I said, it's from, like, your growing up, right? So mine's mostly spleen. Like I said, diaphragm and aorta. So I think I covered it all, but for the most part, that's what's new in my life on the not good section of the scale. And now I've finally done this video and got it over with, and now you know why I don't want to make these calls over and over and over. So now that I've done this part, I'll do little updates here and there, but you're going to go back to seeing the same stuff you always saw, which was me trying to live and watching me experience living my best life. So stay blessed. Appreciate your prayers. They're literally the best thing that you can give. Not only just me, but my family. My kiddos have already lost one parent, so I know this is super hard for them. Most of them. And I love you guys too. So thank you for loving and supporting me. Those of you that have worked beside me for long periods of time. Appreciate you. Those that I've been blessed with to work with more recently, I appreciate all of you guys as well. And thanks for taking this journey with me and Tom and Thomas, because this has definitely been an emotional journey for both of us, and I couldn't do it without him, and he truly has been the best support. So if you see him, give him a big hug because he needs it, because you know, he's going to need it. And so are my babies. So thank you again. And I appreciate you guys. And yeah.